Project Condign was a secret UFO study undertaken by the British government's Defence Intelligence Staff between 1997 and 2000. The results were compiled into a 400-page document titled Unidentified Aerial Phenomena in the UK Air Defence Region that drew on approximately 10,000 sightings and reports. But why was its existence so vehemently denied at the time, and what insights can we gain from it now, looking back through the lens of more recent disclosures? And this week's episode is dedicated to our Explorer of the Week, Israel. Israel has supported us right from the early days of when we launched our Patreon, and we thank you immensely for it. Also worth noting, this will be the last time that we have an Explorer of the Week, as we are changing the way our Patreon works. Essentially, we're knocking it down to a single tier of £2 a month. That's 50 pence per episode, which we think is an absolute bargain for anybody. So if you want to help support us, you will get named in the description of any episodes moving forward, and you'll get exclusive access to our Patreon Discord server, where you can chat about this episode and others with like-minded people. All you have to do is go to patreon.com/aliens explored, or click on the link below to find out more. But yes, Israel, our Explorer of the Week, this one's for you.
Aliens Explored is a weekly podcast exploring famous and obscure cases of UFO sightings, alien abductions and other strange events from both a believing and a skeptical perspective, whilst keeping an open mind. I'm Stu Jackson, a professional actor and amateur ufologist with a particular interest in the crop circle phenomenon. I'll be debating that otherworldly visitations are real. The truth is out there.
And I'm Neil Kelly. I'm a professional actor as well, and used to work for the military as an intelligence analyst. I'll be arguing from a more doubtful point of view. I mean, it's all a bit far-fetched, isn't it?
Hello listeners, and welcome back to another episode of Aliens Explored, your weekly look at the mysterious skies, under the seas, backyards, and the highest echelons of our secret government hiding away in smoke-filled boardrooms. I'm one of your hosts, Neil Kelly.
And I'm your other host, Stu Jackson. Another episode. I mean, this was episode 139.
We're going some, aren't we?
Yeah, did you ever think we'd last this long?
No, I didn't. No,
didn't plan for it. I mean, we didn't plan it with a shelf life either, did we?
We didn't really, no. I mean, it looked like it had sort of come to an end of last year, didn't it? And then
well, that was our scheduling.
Then we launched season 2 in the new year, and here we are.
3.
Sorry,
we're almost into season 4.
Okay. Artificial seasons, but actually this was, we had to actually commission this one, didn't we? We had to actually get together and agree that we would
we got this one going. We got our 3-year anniversary coming up in a few weeks.
Blimey.
Yeah. We need to plan something for that. In fact, I'll tell you what, listeners, if there's anything you'd particularly like us to do for our 3-year anniversary, let us know. Not guaranteeing we'll be able to do it, and especially if it's anything kinky or inappropriate.
Or anatomically impossible.
But no, if there's anything, if you'd like a live stream or whatever particular subject for us to talk about.
We are happy to turn down any and all requests.
Absolutely. So, how have you been keeping, Neil, anyway?
Yeah, very well, thanks. Very well. Still demob happy. Still for our non-English listeners, demob happy means when the end of your term of military service is in sight and you're counting down the days until you can go home. That's what demob
is that a
happy.
particularly British expression then?
I always thought so.
Okay.
I mean, it refers particularly to national servicemen who didn't want to be called up in the first place, but even people who voluntarily join the armed forces, once they've got their notice in, they start. Well, often they've put their notice in because they're fed up with the whole thing.
Yeah.
And it's a long notice. I think it was 18 months. I think it's still a year from giving notice on your engagement.
Long old time.
It is a long old time. So so that's how you get, and that's how I didn't realise it how much this job took it out of me until I saw that the end was in sight and started thinking about all the things I'll be able to do. I mean, one of the things I won't be able to do is be free and easy with my money because I won't have a secure income. But who's to say that it's all over anyway? I might just take a break.
What's a secure income anyway?
Yeah, who really has one these days?
Apologies if the listeners are getting some strange noises coming from the background. There's my windows are currently being cleaned at the moment. So, if there's strange noises coming down, I'm not sat on a toilet. That's just water spraying on the windows. Hopefully, it won't come through anyway. Yeah, I'm. Sorry. Yeah, were you going to ask how I am?
Yes, I was. How are things with you, Steve? What's new?
They're really good. So the soap opera that is my life has taken a sharp upturn. I'm going out on a date this Friday coming.
Hey.
So with a very nice, very attractive young lady. So I'm very looking forward to that.
Yeah, I will be.
Yeah. Chloe, she's gone.
Apart from I'm a middle-aged married man, so going out with young women is generally disapproved of in this household.
You don't get permission from Janet for that.
No, I don't.
But yes, hello Chloe, if you're listening. I don't think she does, but
you never know.
You never know. So yes, by the time this goes out, when does this episode go? Oh yes, the date will have been well weeks ago. It was. So I'll either be.
You never know. You got to talk about something. You got to talk about something on that day, haven't you? So so you'll mention. If you get nothing else out of it, you might get another listener to our podcast.
And let's face it, when it comes to talking about things on dates, with me it's either Star Trek or UFOs.
Oh, right. Okay.
And role-play games, of course. Although, on a date... Anyway, moving very swiftly on from that. Yes, so... now, talking about demob happy, of course, and talking about the British military service, that kind of touches in with what we're talking about today. Project Condign.
We're talking about air defence here, aren't we? Project Condign... And as it says on the Wikipedia page, not to be confused with the Condon Committee, C-O-N-D-O-N.
No. Well, you say air defence. So this is British Government Defence Intelligence Staff that were in it. So I thought it was more of a sort of cross-service. I don't know what the correct term for that is.
Well, it was compiled into a 400-page document entitled Unidentified Aerial Phenomena in the UK Air Defence Region. The fact that it's being carried out by the Defence Intelligence Staff, the focus is always going to be on a threat, either terrestrial or with the possibility that it might be extraterrestrial. But yeah, that's their focus on what's come into our airspace that we haven't been able to identify.
Well, now that we know, of course, that UFOs are quite often transmedium vehicles. So, not only do they fly through the air, but they can swim. No, that's not the right word, but they can operate underwater as well, or
at least we have stories indicating
we have video
that.
footage of it.
Yeah, so I think
so. Yeah,
but
tic-tac-toe, that one went underwater.
But have we ever detected them underwater by with submarines or sonar or they seem to have been mainly seen in the air, although it's been speculated that they've then dived under the sea or they came from somewhere under the sea.
It's really difficult because we monitor. We actually know far more about our airspace, like globally, as a planet. Even though we don't know that much about the airspace, we know far more about the airspace than we do about the sea. We've actually engaged with or sort of like poked a Homo sapiens sort of finger into about 4% of the oceans. That's all.
I mean, apparently we know more about the surface of the moon than we do about the bottom of the ocean, possibly even more about the surface of Mars than we do about the oceans.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So the fact that, yes, I'm going to say, to my knowledge, no submarines, no boats have picked up any... well, there wouldn't be UFOs, there'd be USOs, wouldn't they?
Yes.
Unidentified submersible objects. But no, as far as... I mean, we have witnessed... and we even have video footage of them going underwater or coming from the water. But actually detected them, no. But with only 4%, that's not surprising.
Well, that's not what this report found. This was conducted by the British government's Defence Intelligence Staff between 1997 and 2000. It was a secret unidentified flying object study. It didn't stay secret for very long. It was released into the public domain on the 15th of May 2006 after a September 2005 Freedom of Information Act request by UFO researchers Dr. David Clarke. Now,
yes,
what I
we
know
mentioned Dr. David Clarke a few times on the show now.
Yeah, at a lecturer at Sheffield Hallam University. Well, you have to wonder how secret it was, because usually when the British government classifies things secret or top secret, they have a 50 or 100 year. There are still things about the First World War that are classified secret. And also, the security and intelligence services and special forces are not subject to Freedom of Information Act requests. You can't. So if it was I'm not quite sure about that aspect of the story. But yeah, try and put in a Freedom of Information Act about anything to do with secret government reports, and they'll say, no, sorry, that's not covered by the Act. Nothing to do with the royal family is covered by the Act. They being, of course, our most secretive of secret institutions. You have to wonder what they've got to hide.
Yes,
but indeed. Yeah, it was shortly released into the public domain, very shortly after it was compiled.
Just to add a little bit of context to that, though, so you're saying about this 400-page report being released, a lot of information in that 400-page report is redacted.
Including the identity of the report's authors.
Yes, absolutely.
So we don't know who did. We can't ask anyone anything about it.
But so it's also worth bearing in mind in terms of context. So the period that this report was being compiled, 97 to 2000, was a period of time when the UK government was absolutely vehemently denying that any research or studies into UFOs were taking place at all. They were just like, nope, that is absolutely ridiculous. You're lunatics for even thinking it.
And in fact, that was a point that Clarke picked up on. He said that it didn't really shed any new light on UFOs. But what it did show was that the Defence Intelligence Services had been conducting a much bigger investigation of the topic than they'd previously indicated.
Yes. That's perhaps a more diplomatic way of putting it
Yeah.
than I did. But, but by 2006, when it was released, they were starting to be a bit more open than, we do sort of take in reports. So by the time the information, I got why they did release it when they did. Release its existence, because by that point they were being a little more open about it. But there's nothing to say that this is the actual report. So if I was going to be running a government secret department studying something that I knew was going to be really of the interest to the public but did not want them to know, I would generate 2 reports. One that kind of alludes to, all right, we've done a study and there's nothing to show, nothing to see here, folks. And I would do the other study, which would be the real study, the real report.
I think, what I do about the security and intelligence services, you wouldn't be allowed to do that. Largely, I think, because the release of a report that's been redacted sufficiently for public consumption indicates the existence of a much more secret report that you're not allowed to know about, and of course that will just generate curiosity, and once you've got curiosity, you've got speculation, and then possibly you've even got leaks and whistleblowing. So you've got how secretive the British government is.
Maybe
really secretive.
But yes. But this report comes up with some really curious explanation. So they admit that, and they, I'm going to say, quite rightly say, the majority of UFO sightings can be explained by mundane things. Do you know what? It might surprise some of our listeners to this. I'm at 100% on board with that.
Yeah, so misidentified balloons, aircraft, that sort of thing.
Yeah, 100% on board with that. But what it offers as an explanation for the remaining, I think, I'm going from memory here, so apologies if I've got this wrong, but I think it says about 97% were explainable, and then there's this 3% that isn't.
I haven't actually got any percentages here.
Checking through my notes. No, I haven't. That is working from memory, so that might be correct. But it's a substantial difference in that sort of ballpark. But what it offers is this explanation for the remaining, let's call it 3%, even if it isn't. It's plasma. Which is just ridiculous.
It's they said what they say is that the remaining unexplainable reports, this small minority, 3% or whatever, were most likely the result of supernormal meteorological phenomena not fully understood by modern science, and that's what they refer to as buoyant plasma formation, which is something akin to ball lightning, but it's only a hypothesis. That they come up to produce an unexplained energy field, and that also creates the appearance of a black triangle by refracting light away, leaving a black space in between. It's also noted that due to the secret nature of the report, it was apparently not subject to peer review, and it has been suggested that the buoyant plasma hypothesis would not have withstood independent scrutiny.
Well, it has indeed been looked at by physicists in different areas who have said this is just, I mean, I'm paraphrasing, please understand that, but they have said this is a load of bollocks.
But also the report suggests that, being from a military perspective, suggests that they're going to research further into what they call novel military applications of this plasma phenomenon, which they've already briefed to MOD technology managers, and they've noted that scientists in the former Soviet Union have identified the close connection between the UFO phenomena and plasma technologies and are pursuing related techniques for potential military purposes. Well, that was 23 years ago or more. We haven't seen any of these. None of these technologies seem to have made it to the battlefield, as we're seeing in Ukraine.
That we're aware of.
That we're aware of. In fact, what's been striking about the Russian invasion of the Ukraine is that their military capabilities seem to be much less than had been supposed by Western intelligence analysts, that a lot of Russian military hardware had been neglected. Money that was supposed to be spent on military had been spent here, but it had been handed to oligarchs, and they'd spent it on luxury yachts and private jets, that sort of thing. So they would roll these vehicles out of the depot, and their tyres would explode because they hadn't been.
I thought the biggest thing the Russian oligarchs spent their money on was the British government.
They spend a lot on British government. They spend a lot on properties in London.
Yes, they do.
And worldwide, they launder their money through London Grad.
Well, through the British government.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that was noted about the Russian Air Force was that they don't even use smart bombs. They're using what's called dumb ordnance, and the disadvantages are plain. If you want to bomb a bridge or something, with a smart bomb, you can bomb it from 50,000 feet. You can drop your bomb from there, and the bomb will be guided to the target. And you're out above the clouds, you're out of the way. Whereas with dumb technology, you've got to actually be able to see the target with your eyes or through your bomb sight. And then you can't just release one big bomb that might miss. You've got to drop a cluster of bombs, and some will hit, some will miss, and it might not be enough. Maybe not enough of them, because they're smaller bombs, would hit the target to destroy it. So another plane's got to go in, and of course then you're vulnerable to anti-aircraft fire, and that's what we've been seeing in the war in Ukraine. That they really are, they really haven't kept up with the technology.
That's Russian military, though, which is,
But that's what, at the time of this report, they were concerned that the Russian military were developing these new exotic technologies using this, what they call it, buoyant plasma formation that might have a military application.
And it puts me in mind. It puts me in mind of what Tesla was talking about as well. With basically, had we gone the way of Tesla rather than Edison, we'd all have free electricity and no wires. Free wireless electricity, because it was capturing the electromagnetic field of the planet.
Well,
but there you go. That kind of puts me in mind with the whole point plasma thing. And I can imagine that there are governments out there who have developed that technology, but as we have seen now, I mean, I know we digress into politics quite a lot on the show, but I'm gonna say. We have seen first-hand evidence where with the British UK, within the UK, where you've got all these gas and electricity suppliers raking up the prices ridiculously, rather than saying to them, like, taxing the bejesus out of them because of it. They're letting them they're not taxing them, and the government is giving the public money to offset their electricity bills. So basically, like, we're just paying them anyway. So the fact that the government is floating these companies, basically.
Well, basically, I mean, in most European countries, utilities such as electricity are state-run as a public service. In Britain, it's all been privatised, so they are privately run for-profit businesses. So they will ramp up the price as much as they like.
But their profits are being put ahead of the people. So even if the government had the technology to provide everyone in the country with free electricity that was like renewable and all the rest of it, they wouldn't do it. Clearly, they've proved that they wouldn't do that.
Well, no, because we have governments, as they do in the States, and many of our other listeners will recognise that, yes, their governments are hamstrung by the corporations, and it's in the corporate interests that they'll try and justify it. They'll say, well, by supporting the corporations, we're making things better for you. It's the old, if we let the rich get richer, they'll invest that money and it will all trickle down to you, trickle down economics.
What a load of crap, because they all put it in offshore savings accounts where it doesn't. It's like dragons hoarding their treasure.
Yeah, and we're seeing
it doesn't go into the public.
For instance, we're seeing a wave of industrial action because privatised rail companies and utilities companies are not giving their staff pay rises in the face of massive inflation. If the official rate of inflation is 10%, you can bet the actual cost of living has gone up a lot more than that.
Oh, it's gone up far ridiculously.
Yeah.
Way more
So
anyway, we've got off topic.
We've gone way off topic.
Back onto topic. So yes, plasma, buoyant plasma, absolute nonsense. That's causing. The idea that ball lightning will look like a black triangle. It's nonsense. It's ridiculous.
Well, no, the black triangle is delineated by lights, isn't it? So what it's suggesting is that the lights three lights in the sky causing a triangular formation in between those three lights, that area will look dark and suggest an object there where there actually isn't one.
Doesn't explain when these black triangles are seen during the day, though.
No, it doesn't explain that. Well, it doesn't really explain much at all. It doesn't. It's speculative.
Yeah,
they're not saying this is what causes it. They're saying, that the unexplainable reports are most likely the result of supernormal meteorological phenomena not understood by modern science. They also make reference to close encounters, describing people who themselves believe that they've had close encounters and have been convinced of what they said or seen or experienced.
That's really important.
It is, but also they note that it doesn't represent any proof that such encounters were real.
But acknowledging that these people who are credible people, that they believe what they're saying, so they have ruled out, effectively, these are abductees, people who have had close encounters of some degree or another. They are not lying. They have ruled that out.
I don't think you can rule that out because some of those people really aren't very credible.
Well, there are people who are less credible, I agree with you, but there are people amongst there who are extremely credible, and if they believe what they're saying, that means they are not lying. They are telling the truth as they understand it.
Right, yeah, that's not lying. But
it's not lying.
It doesn't mean that what you say is objectively true. It's what you think is true.
Yes, but lying is consciously saying. But I think that's an important... If it's a credible person, and what they are saying is not fictive, it's not made up by them, that's lends a lot of credence. I think that's a more powerful aspect of this report than has been perhaps previously recognised.
It's kind of a sidebar, isn't it? I mean, they're mainly concerned about intrusions into British airspace that they're responsible for the defence of. So, yeah, mainly they're looking at reports of things in the skies, but where these things have allegedly come down to Earth, they want and have been witnessed by people. Yeah, of course, they want to talk to them.
Yeah,
but
and abductee. I mean, that's a really striking. So a lot of times, and especially back in the 90s, abductees were absolutely roundly ridiculed if they came public.
Well, yeah.
Completely ridiculed and mocked and really thrashed in the media.
Even by people who believe that we are being visited by aliens. They would mock them. In just the same way that Christians would mock a woman who claimed she had a virgin birth. Or they would mock a homeless man who claimed to be the son of God. They would...
Yes.
They believe in that thing, but I don't believe it's you. That's basically what they're saying.
They keep saying Jesus is returning,
but it ain't you.
Say, and here I am.
Yeah.
They won't. They don't believe you. Maybe I ought to try that. I don't know.
How many of our Christian listeners are we upset with that remark? But yeah.
Oh, write and let us know if you're a Christian believer and that's
why not?
You don't like that.
Why not?
Let us know.
Why not troll our website?
So I think this is a really important report in two ways. I think that saying that these people believe what they are saying, these abductees, people who have had, and close encounter can mean lots of different things. It can just be, look, I was driving down the road and this UFO landed at the side of me, and that can be a close encounter, what they're talking about as well. So, because they're saying these people believe what they are saying, I know, I just find that absolutely phenomenal. Especially now, I am going back in my head, like with context. I've got context of what ufology was like 25 years ago, and how it was utterly ridiculed. So that's part of it. But the fact that this report exists. Now, are you going to tell me there wasn't a report from 2000 onwards or prior to this? Because I wouldn't believe that.
I don't know. I mean, these things cost money, don't they? And you've got to persuade someone that it's worth looking into these things. I mean, you'd have to show them data to say we've got all these reports of things in our airspace that haven't been identified. We need to look at what they are. There's a Guardian article which says that the trail towards this investigation began in 1976 from a UFO enthusiast called Julian Hennessy for access to the MOD's records on UFO sightings. A note from the UFOs shows that officials intended to refuse him access on the grounds that the files contained confidential information and very little of value to a serious scientific investigator. So yeah, I guess they've always been concerned about our airspace and increasing, especially during the Cold War, that the Soviet Union, which is our Cold War enemy, would suddenly develop a new technology that would counter anything that we've got. That was always the secret weapon, the whatever the kind. I mean, even you look at John Ronson's The Men Who Stare at Goats, which is about psychics and clairvoyants, or people claiming they've got psychic powers. And someone in the US Department of Defense or the State Department said, well, what if this is true? What if they really do have these powers and the Soviet Union is developing them, and that there are people sat somewhere in St. Petersburg or Leningrad as it was then, who are actually able through their psychic powers to see what you're writing in a secret document.
Remote viewing.
What if that's... we need to look into that. So they just had to. Money was no object in those days. In that, it never is.
Absolutely.
In a war, which is great for the arms companies when money is no object.
Going back prior to that, you had Churchill's. Winston Churchill formed the UFO Working Party. But anyway, it's not new. That the government's interested in UFOs. If at any point in history they've ever said we're not interested in this and we're not studying them, then they're talking crap. basically.
Well,
and this report kind of proves that, in my view.
The Guardian article says eventually DI-55 decided to allow its involvement to be made public. A note to the public UFO desk, this is back in 1995, said, "I see no reason for continuing to deny that the Defence Intelligence Service has an interest in UFOs. However, if the association is formally made public, then the MOD will no doubt be pressured to state what the intelligence role or interest is. This could lead to disbelief and embarrassment, since few people are likely to believe the truth that lack of funds and higher priorities have prevented any study of the thousands of reports received."
Yeah. And I get that. It's so if you were going to go for disclosure, the first thing you would have to do is, after years of saying it's ridiculous, and genuinely ridiculing people for it, you'd have to move it to a state whereby it was taken a bit more seriously. It was like you'd add it into kind of the mainstream psyche through Hollywood, through the media, as we've talked about in the past in past episodes. You'd steadily do that to a point whereby now you can start saying, yes, we're studying this thing publicly without losing face, without being ridiculed. And that's the point at disclosure where we're at now.
We should put a link to this Guardian article, actually, because it is it actually goes into detail of some of the sightings that were covered, including Rendlesham.
Yes,
Rendlesham Forest in Suffolk,
cases,
which has been named as Britain's Roswell. All it says is an airman later confessed the incident was a hoax. That's all they say about it. So
no, because they to this day.
Yeah, but that's what they've said in their report.
Yeah, right. Okay. Anyway, we need to take a trip to Rendlesham Forest at some point.
We do, yeah.
You and I, Neil. So we'll be doing that. Anyway, so what do you? I mean, does the Condign report so learning about of its existence? Anything it says, anything jump out at you, Neil? I've kind of made my case for why I think it's significant.
I think the fact that they were so quick to release in relative terms, so quick to declassify and make publicly available a secret document, pretty much shows that there's nothing in it that they're concerned about, or that reveals any kind of, they've just looked at various, something like 10,000 sightings they looked at, and as you say, 97% of them they were able to actually identify, leaving only 3% of UFOs, and they've hypothesized this plasma.
Just ridiculous.
Whatever.
Nonsense theory.
It's pure speculation, but no, I think it's interesting that there was a report. You would think that anyone involved in air defence, well, of course they would be interested in looking at, if there's something in the sky that you can't identify, that's on you. If that turns out to be, I mean, they did conclude there was nothing. They couldn't conclude that there was anything hostile, and they couldn't conclude that there was any kind of intelligence behind the phenomena. You're talking lights in the sky. So,
well, things have changed now.
Have they? Have they really?
Yes. With the release of the Pentagon videos, Tic Tac Toe, and
I think that's still subject
definitely
to
an intelligence
speculation.
Anyway, well, we like to speculate on this shit, don't we? But what do you think, listeners? Had you heard of Project Condign before, listeners? And is it as meaningful as perhaps I'm giving it credence, or Neil? Do let us know what you think of it via the usual means. You can email us, aliensexplored@gmail.com. You can contact us through our Facebook or Twitter by searching Aliens Explored, or on our YouTube channel as well. Don't forget to go over, give that a like and subscribe, please. And of course, we need to mention our Patreon as well. Don't forget that. If you subscribe to our Patreon, then you get exclusive access to our Discord server, where you can chat with like-minded people about this and any of the other topics we discuss here. So all links to all that are below, as per usual. Join us next time, though, when, big old topic, this one. Next time, we're going to be looking at alien orbs.
Alien orbs.
Alien orbs, or the orb phenomenon, I suppose. To widen it just that little bit further. And move the goalpost. Yeah, the orbs that are so often synonymous with UFO sightings. We're having a delve into those, so don't miss that one. In the meantime, keep watching governments very, very carefully, because they're usually hiding something, and it's often nefarious. And of course, keep watching the skies. So take care for now.
Catch you next time. Bye bye. Aliens Explored is a Fecal Films production in association with Juicy Falls. Music by Darren Mafucci and editing by Stu Jackson. Find us on Twitter or Facebook by searching Aliens Explored, or visit us on aliensexplored.com.